Hello and welcome back to the Saturday Showdown. As always, we are back here on the third floor of Swain Hall as Hartnett Hall continues to undergo some brand new renovations. And as you can see behind us, the beautiful Herb Parker Stadium. And we have a great show for you today, guys. Again, we are brought to you by Marco's Pizza. Again, we thank them. Great food, great pizza, always supporting the MSU Broadcasting Department. Today on the show, we're going to talk to the head coach today, talking about last week's game and previewing today's game against the Bemidji State Beavers. We'll also have Trevin Badger kind of preview the NSIC conference a little bit. And then Parker and I will wrap up the show with our wonderful Hot Topic segment. But without further ado, the Bemidji State Beavers lost a tough one in overtime last weekend to the Southwest Minnesota State Mustangs, 27-20 final score. And also previewing today against the Bemidji State Beavers, head coach Mike Aldrich joins us today. Coach, thank you again for making some time. Again, tough loss last week. Just kind of your original thoughts against the Mustangs.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a very good game. First half we started a little bit slow. I think we kind of were more tiptoeing through the game and trying to feel everything out. And we got into halftime down 11. So we had to have some strong conversations to get ourselves kind of back into that game and to get the intensity back up a little bit. And so we did, and we kind of were back and forth with the other team, but we had 4 offensive explosive plays in that game, and 3 of them were in the second half, and Southwest had 7, and 1 of them was in the second half. So we started to play better team football. We were able to make some plays, create some plays out of nothing. And really the spark that really got us going was a deflected pass when Jake Swerple, our starting center, caught it and then ran down the field 15 yards and ran over a couple guys. And I think that helped motivate everybody and really got the juices flowing. And we were able to get ourselves back into it. I mean, we were down 10 with 5 minutes to play, and we ended up getting into overtime.
Yeah, that had to have been a cool scene there. Jake Swerple getting a nice little reception. But sticking to that first half, the team forced a couple turnovers against Southwest. Obviously, couldn't capitalize real well on them, but how important is it knowing that not only the defense is playing well, but they're also creating chances for the offense?
Well, that's what we talk about as our job. Our job is to get the ball back for the offense and give them as many opportunities as possible. We don't really hang our hat on a certain number of statistics in terms of what are we trying to hold a team to or anything like that. It's all a matter of the ball. And if we can get that back, then it's just only going to give those chances for our offense to do something with it. And we've done a much better job here through the first 4 games than what we did last year. We were very bad at it. We didn't have many takeaways, and we had a lot of turnovers. And so far this year we're doing really well, and we've got to be able to keep doing that.
Yeah, being sure to keep that ratio going at a strong rate. But you guys obviously went down early in that first half. Just kind of talk to us, what kind of helped turn the tide as halftime ended and you guys started to really start to roll in that second half?
Well, I think just understanding what we were seeing, understanding what we need to do when we see what we see. It's halftime is a very important thing in football just because it gives us a chance to regroup, regather, and you've got a certain amount of time that you can actually have those conversations with the team. Where on the sidelines you maybe have a minute, depending on what happens on the field. And so there's times where you don't get to have the breadth and the depth of the conversation that you need. So I thought we did a great job coming out because of that. And like I said, I think Jake Swerple was the final, lighting of the dynamite that got us really going fast.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, really, I mean, it was you guys really stormed out in that second half and really good stuff. I mean, to really tie it going late into and eventually forcing overtime, although that overtime period probably not too kind to you guys. I believe there was a 4th and 26. I mean, kind of a less than ideal situation. What can you guys do to kind of go more forward, less backwards? Was it kind of penalties, sacks? What went wrong down in that overtime period?
Well, they scored in 3 plays. So that wasn't good to start it off right away when we had been dominating the whole second half. But when the other offense gets the ball to 25, their playbook's much more open. And then offensively, we took 2 sacks in a row. That really hurt us, and that's what backed us up so much. But we hadn't played in overtime, and this is my 6th year here. We've never been in an overtime, so that was a new experience. And like I told the team after, I was disappointed that we lost. I wasn't disappointed in them. We never quit. We never gave up. And if they look at the last 7 plays of overtime, and that's what we used to define this game, then we missed the whole process of the 30 minutes beforehand of pulling ourselves back into that game and scoring and then recovering an onside and then having our young kicker kick a pressure kick to just get us to overtime. There's so many positives that are there, and we've got to be able to look at those to grow as opposed to just the wins and losses.
Yeah, again, it was a tough loss, but the team certainly competed against Southwest Minnesota, as we're now going to put that behind us. And we're going to take a look at Bemidji State today, and they are humming right now with north of 36 points per game. How do you guys slow down such an offensive attack that is operating like a machine?
Well, we don't look at them as any different than anybody else. They've got some good players, and we've played them before. Last year it was kind of a shootout, more of a basketball game on grass. We'd like that not to be the case, and the big way you slow down an offense like that is you create turnovers. Their quarterback's thrown 9 picks in 4 games, so he's going to force the football. He's going to give us those type of chances. And then offensively, we just need to sustain drives. If the longer we're on the field, the less they're on the field. So you have to be able to play truly team football, defensively and offensively to keep yourself in that game and be able to take advantage of when there's something good that happens. You have to take advantage of it and strike.
Oh yeah, and I calculated it. I believe it's 341.5 yards per game on offense for Bemidji State. And last time you guys were home against the Wayne State Wildcats, they took a couple deep shots over the top and really completed them. How does the secondary view a game like this, and how do you guys get them ready for this type of matchup?
Well, I think we're definitely excited. They have probably the number 1 receiver in the league. And we have the number 1 corner in the league. So that's going to be a great one-on-one matchup all day long, all 60 minutes, and watch those 2 guys battle. I think that'll be good. You mentioned the Wayne State game from a couple weeks ago. The big plays down the field were blown coverages, so it was not they out-athleted us or out-schemed us. We kind of had a couple mental farts, as I call it, and they did a great job of taking advantage of that. So we just have to play disciplined football and do our job, and then we'll be just fine.
Yeah, they certainly like to throw the ball a lot, and it makes sense as the scoring has been coming through the air. Their top running back, I believe, only has 1 TD so far. And let's talk about their quarterback, Brandon Alt. He's been widely regarded around the conference, 13 TDs, but he has kind of struggled with some turnovers a little bit. 58.2 completion percentage. What stands out so far from that side, and how do you get the quarterback off his game a little bit?
Well, he's been playing for a long time, so we've seen him for quite a number of years. So he's no surprise to us. We know what he can do. We know where he likes to go with the football, and the big thing is, can we give him some hairy looks pre-snap and change those looks post-snap to where he's got to bring his eyes and check to a different read. Be able to bring pressure at him while that's happening as well, so he doesn't have the opportunity just to get rid of it, to evade the pressure, any of those type of things. And really more importantly, our quarterback needs to be able to match him, and Dawson's got to be able to have a great game. And his true arrival game was last year against Bemidji, where he threw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. So we need to be able to have that same mentality out of our quarterback this week too.
No, certainly. Dawson has the arm, and I think that the potential is really there. And those 2 losses that Bemidji suffered were actually 1-score games, including one that was determined by a 1-point difference. If you guys build a lead, how do you keep them down and out of it, give them no confidence?
Doing exactly like what I talked about. You just have to play disciplined football. You can't worry about what the scoreboard says, whether you're up a lot or down a lot. You have to be able to just keep doing your job and know that it's going to be a 10-round fight, and never quit, which obviously we showed that last week. And for them, if they're never out of it because they throw the ball so much, and I think they would prefer to throw the ball. So we want to be able to make sure that we can get that neutralized, and then also not let the run bother us too. If they can have success in both areas, it'll be a long day. So we need to be able to be stout in all those areas.
Yeah, and real quickly, Coach, and we thank you for your time again today. Keys to a victory for the Beavers, you kind of mentioned it already, but what are some matchups that you like in this one?
Well, like I said, the number 1 matchup will be Nyland Miller-Levi versus their number 1 receiver. You'll see that matchup all day. and to see who wins that battle. They matched up last year and had a really good competition, and I think Nyland had 5 pass breakups in that game. So that's matchup number one. I think number two is can our quarterback get going and find Nate Young and Peyton Lamore and Ben Belinsky out there and Eric Palmquist and be able to truly win down the field with the ball and not stand back in the pocket for a real long time. Our O-line's pretty beat up, and we got to get Ali Muhammad on track as well. So really for us, it's all about us being able to take that next step and produce, and we're not really overly concerned exactly with our opponent as much as we are with ourselves.
Good insight, Coach. Again, thank you. Should be a great matchup against Bemidji State today, and good luck today.
Thank you.
Yep. There you have it. Head coach Mike Aldrich coming in to preview the game and a little bit last week on Southwest Minnesota. When we come back, folks, Trevin Badger is going to give us a look around the Northern Sun Conference. Don't go anywhere. You are watching the Saturday Showdown, brought to you by Marco's Pizza.
Thank you to all of our underwriters. Trinity Health is a comprehensive healthcare system based in Minot, North Dakota.
Fiancé, with all your prom and bridal needs, located in downtown Minot.
KCJB 910 AM, Minot's news and information station.
Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beer, sports.
KIZZ FM Z94, playing today's hit music.
Mix 99.9, Minot's music mix.
SRT, offering a number of services including phone, TV, internet, and security.
KRRZ, 1390 AM, Minot's classic hits.
KZPR 105.3 FM, Minot's rock station.
East End, where the poor is worth so much more, located in downtown Minot.
Qdoba, easy, on time, full of flavor.
Nice Impressions, no job is too big or too small, located in downtown Minot.
MSU Beavers Hockey, online info at msubeavers.com.
Forward Communication, connecting professionals in the Midwest.
El Azteca, authentic Mexican food on North Broadway near the airport.
MSU Theater Department, year-round entertainment.
Red and Green, MSU's student-run newspaper.
MSU Bookstore, for all your campus needs.
Minot Nutrition Addiction, offering healthy smoothies and meal replacements on the go.
H-Bar-B Construction, for all your oil field needs.
Bear's Cat Donuts, located on Broadway across from Minot State campus.
Public speaking is what I want to do with my life. I want to be able to influence others. Being in this class, I've made friends that I hang out with all the time and really good people. The professors are all so willing to help me with anything, and I'm really loving it. I have so many opportunities. I love being here, and I truthfully can't wait to see what this 4 years holds. If I could do anything to change a life, that would just be absolutely amazing.
What's great about my communications major is that it literally teaches you to communicate with people. I love the idea of event planning. I also like the idea of opening up my own business. The experience has been really good. Our department is really small, but you build connections with people. I thought that I was an introvert when I went into it. The farther it got along, I'm becoming more extroverted, so I forced myself to come out of my bubble, which has been good.
Welcome back to the Saturday Showdown, brought to you by Marco's Pizza. The NSIC football standings are tight heading into the 5th week of the season. There are 3 undefeated teams: Augustana, Sioux Falls, and Wayne State. All 3 teams are 4-0 to start the season. Minnesota State, Mankato, Southwest Minnesota State, and Winona State take up the next spots at 3-1. After a close overtime loss against SMSU, the Minot State Beavers find themselves at the bottom of the standings in a four-way tie for last place. Concordia, St. Paul, U-Mary, and Upper Iowa also share 0-4 records. Minot State is matching up today against Bemidji State in a battle of the Beavers. This is a must-win game for Minot as they do not want to fall to 0-5. Other notable matchups within the NSIC include Augustana versus Sioux Falls. Both teams are undefeated, and this will be a great matchup to see who can hold that first-place spot. This matchup also features two nationally ranked teams. Augustana is sitting 9th in the nation. Sioux Falls takes the 25th spot after not being ranked last week. If Sioux Falls wants to stay in the rankings, they need to put up a good fight against this tough Augustana team. Another important game is between Wayne State and Winona State. If Wayne State can win this game, they prove that they belong in that top spot. It's also a chance for Winona to prove that they can deserve to be top 3. Both these teams will start at 1 p.m. and will be streaming on the NSIC website. In the last 17 years, Minot State football has not won a game against Bemidji. Minot needs to get their guys going if they want to win this game. Ali Muhammad leads the team for all rushing stats with 196 yards and a touchdown. It's clear the offense is revolved around him, and he will dictate how this game will go. For passing, Dawson McCleary leads the team with 587 yards and 3 touchdowns. In the last game, Dawson threw for 169 yards with a touchdown and 2 interceptions. Bemidji State's quarterback, Brandon Alt, is having a great start to his year, leading the conference in nearly every category. He has 1,353 yards passing with 13 touchdowns. Minot State needs to keep him contained if they want to win this game. That's all I have for NSIC matchups and standings, but don't go anywhere. After a quick break, we'll have Cole and Parker with a Hot Topic segment. You're watching the Saturday Showdown, sponsored by Marco's Pizza.
Hello and welcome back to the Saturday Showdown, brought to you by Marco's Pizza. I'm joined now with Parker Stria for the Hot Topic segment, and right now we are going to preview Minot State and Bemidji State, the battle of the Beavers. And Parker, again, Bemidji State's 2-2, Minot State 0-4. What are some things that really stand out in this matchup? What are some keys to the game that you have for the Beavers?
Well, I know Coach mentioned it a little bit earlier, the last game. I think Dawson McCleary needs to have a huge game today. Coach mentioned that he threw for over 400 yards in their last meeting last year, which was ultimately a loss to Bemidji State. But he did have 3 touchdowns through the air and 2 on the ground. And I think if he can have another big game like that, it's really going to help Minot State compete in this game and also potentially come away with a victory.
Yeah, especially going up against a go big or go home offense like Bemidji State. And Brandon Alt, like I mentioned earlier, he's widely regarded around the conference. He's got 13 touchdowns, which is insane, really big passing attack, but also dealing with some turnovers a little bit. How do you think Minot State can take advantage of some of that?
I think Minot State has been pretty good this year at actually forcing turnovers, and I know Brandon Alt himself, like you said, has been pretty turnover prone this year, as has the entire Bemidji team. They've actually fumbled the ball 13 times this year while having those 9 interceptions. And I think if Minot State can force some turnovers early and get some points on the board, it'll kind of scare Bemidji State, I think. They're already a pass-happy team, but I think if they can make stupider throws and just really bad throws for their team, it's going to help Minot State win this game if they can capitalize on those turnovers.
Yeah, that is certainly going to be key for both teams. What are maybe some position matchups that you are looking forward to yourself? I know we just talked to Coach. He loves that outside matchup with Nyland Miller-Levi, hoping to get Dawson in some big throws. What are some other matchups that you look at this game or that are looking cool for this game?
I'm excited to watch this Minot State offensive line actually go against this Bemidji State defensive line. I know Minot State they've allowed, I think, 14 sacks through 3 or 4 games this season, which is not ideal. And I know Bemidji State has been pretty good at actually getting pressure on the quarterback. And Coach mentioned that our offensive line is pretty beat up. It is pretty young, especially with, I believe, a true freshman starting at one of our guard spots. So if they can protect Dawson, I think that'll really set the tone for this game, because if they can keep Bemidji State from actually pressuring Dawson and making him do or make errors, I think that's really going to help this team.
And one thing that I did not ask Coach about, but Ali Muhammad, getting him in space, he kind of started to find his stride late in that Southwest game. He had some really nice runs after being stuffed early. Is that kind of more so a factor of the young offensive line? And, how does Coach put them kind of in a, successful spot to be successful, I guess?
I think he has been off to a really slow start this year, and I do think that does play into the offensive line. There's, I believe, 3 new starters that didn't start last year, at all. And I think it just comes with the confidence. He needs to trust his offensive line, and they need to trust that he's going to find the holes that they make for him. And I think if they can do that, I think he has the potential to have a really big game today and kind of jumpstart his season that's been pretty slow up to this point.
Yeah, I believe so too, Parker. And any other matchups or important stats that maybe the fans should be aware about?
It's not going to be like a head-to-head, but I'm excited to watch both quarterbacks play. I think it has the potential to be a shootout. This Bemidji State offense loves to throw the ball, and they're very good at it. But Dawson is also very good at throwing the ball, despite his stats not looking as great as Brendan Alt's this year. So I think if both receiving groups have the potential to go head-to-head, and I think Dawson and Brendan are really going to be huge drivers in that.
I think we may have discussed this already, but keys to victory for both teams. What do you think is going to be the case for both sides?
I think the biggest key to victory for Bemidji is just protecting the ball. Minot State has been forcing turnovers this year, and I mentioned earlier that Bemidji State has been very turnover prone. They've thrown 9 interceptions and have fumbled 13 times, although they've only lost 4. You still do not want to be putting the ball on the ground that many times, because that's just potential for your team to be put in really bad positions, and that's how you lose games, is turning the ball over. And Minot State, I think they also need to protect the ball. They had 4 turnovers last year against Bemidji, and they have 5 interceptions and 4 fumbles this year. So I think they just need to win the turnover battle. I believe whoever wins the turnover battle this game has the potential to win this game in a pretty big way.
This game, right with you there, Parker. I think all those are pretty big, honestly, and I think they go really well with this game, especially how both offenses really like to throw the football, really hum. Dawson's got a big arm. Brandon Alt, again, he's really nice quarterback himself. Just the turnover side of things is not really, up to snuff. But, yeah, good stuff there, Parker. And we're going to look at some NFL picks this weekend, some NFL locks, and I'm personally excited for this one. So this is brand new. We got some of our own picks for who we think is going to win this weekend. So, Parker, I'll have you start. What are some important matchups that you like this weekend off the bat?
The matchup this weekend in the NFL that I'm actually the most confident in, and not biased in any way, I think Green Bay is going to beat New England pretty easily. Mac Jones has just announced, I believe yesterday, that he's not playing this game. So Brian Hoyer is going to be New England's starter. I don't trust Hoyer to go up against as talented of a defense as Green Bay has. And I also don't trust New England's secondary. I think if Green Bay can get a healthy Christian Watson going, who is a guy who's 6'4" or 6'5" with legit 4.3 speed.
And ESU product as well.
With legit 4.3 speed, I don't think New England's corners can keep up with him. And I think this is going to be a really good game for Aaron Rodgers. He's going to dissect this New England's defense and their really poor secondary.
Yeah, I agree right with you there, Parker. Any other picks that you got besides Packers and Patriots, or is that?
I'm pretty confident in the Chargers also. I know they did lose pretty bad to Jacksonville last week, which no one expected, but they're playing the Houston Texans tomorrow, which is not a very good team. Davis Mills, I don't trust him, and I think Justin Herbert is just that guy. I know it sounds weird, but I think he is arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league, if not the best in some circles. And I mean, Chargers have everything to play for this game. I know that sounds weird to say about a Week 4 matchup in the NFL, but you're in a very tight division where Denver and Kansas City are both leading at 2-1. Las Vegas is 0-3, but I think if LA loses this game, they're really hurting their chances at even making a wild card spot.
Oh yeah, that AFC West division is so tough. Me being a Broncos fan, and like during the offseason, it was just news after news of Devontae Adams going to Vegas. I mean, I was really happy about the Russ news, but Adams going to Vegas, Chandler Jones, who else am I missing? Like Khalil Mack to the Chargers,
J.C.
and then
Jackson.
Yeah, J.C. Jackson, and then Juju to the Chiefs. Like, man, I mean, I love the Chiefs got rid of Tyreek Hill. This kind of biased Broncos fan, and me saying that, but yeah, I see one more game. Do you think is going to be a standout this weekend?
This is one I'm a little less confident now that the news of Amon-Ra St. Brown being out, but I do think Detroit will beat Seattle this week. I just don't trust Geno Smith. I know he had a pretty good game against Denver, unfortunately for you, Week 1, in a game that no one really expected them to win. But since that game, Seattle's 0-2, and I trust Detroit, which is weird to say considering they've been really bad the last couple of years, and they had the number 2 overall pick last year. But I think with Jeff Okudah stepping up, Detroit's former number 3 overall cornerback, I think if he can have another big game against a guy like DK Metcalf or even Tyler Lockett, after locking up Justin Jefferson last week and Devontae Smith Week 1, I think it's going to be a very close game, but it's one I think Detroit can win.
Yeah, certainly a possibility there. I don't know if our director Dante is on board with that, as he's a Seahawks fan, but he is also celebrating the Mariners playoff clinching last night, first time in 20 years. So congrats to Dante and all the other Mariners fans. But yeah, those are some good picks, Parker. I'll give you my lock for the weekend. Arizona, I believe, playing Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah, I got Arizona over Carolina. It's just they're too deep of an offense to, not score at least 30 points a games. And Carolina, even with Baker, they've been kind of struggling from time to time. Yeah. Give me Arizona over Carolina.
Yeah, I think that's a very good pick. I just don't trust that Carolina offense to go up against Arizona.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But, yeah, good stuff there, Parker. Thank you for coming on and doing another successful Hot Topics segment. And, yeah, there you have it, folks. Once again, another great show in the books. Again, this is a Saturday Showdown brought to you by Marco's Pizza. Again, we want to thank Coach Aldrich for joining us today to talk over the Southwest Minnesota State game and also previewing Bemidji State. We thank Trevin Badger for a look around the NSIC standings, football schedules, and all that fun stuff. And Parker, again, thank you for another fun Hot Topic segment, NFL locks, and more previewing on Minot State and Bemidji State. That being said, folks, again, thank you for tuning in this week. We'll be back next Thursday for MSU Inside Out. Again, you've just watched the Saturday Showdown brought to you by Marco's Pizza.